Hey guys, and welcome to Marvel Future Revolution. Today, to start this series, I want to get into characters and character power levels and how you should go about building your characters. We're going to use Doctor Strange, who is at level 100, power 415,000, which is fairly decent for a, I guess I would say I've been a dolphin spending and not whale spending. Trust me, I've seen some whales with power level 700,000. Meanwhile, I've seen free-to-play players with power levels as low as 250 to 300,000 at this rank. At the start of this game, upon launch, we will have 8 characters: Doctor Strange, Storm, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Black Widow, and Star-Lord. The character models for all these characters look amazing. The costumes as well look pretty damn good. You want to basically choose a character that you like. All the characters seem very viable right now. The one caveat that I will say is that certain characters, there's obviously a tier list to every game, and I would say that Doctor Strange and Storm definitely seem like they are bar none higher than the other characters in terms of PvE play. Meanwhile, Captain Marvel and Iron Man seem very user-friendly and definitely at that top level. Meanwhile, playing some of the game, a lot of people have started to play Black Widow and Spider-Man and notice that they're really good at PvP. Star-Lord seems to be at the bottom of those characters and not being used as much, and Captain America seems like he's really good, but mostly against single targets. So good for the raid bosses and field bosses and things like that, but probably he's not outshining any of the characters in PvP, put it that way. We're going to use Doctor Strange, however, to look at overall effects and benefits to the characters and how you should be looking at proceeding and leveling up your characters. I'm going to tell you at the outset, most important things to your characters are obviously going to be costumes. It seems like the way that Netmarble intends to monetize this game as much as possible. And we'll look at those, for instance. So underneath here, we have your hero info. And let's start by talking about squad. Your squad level is going to affect your overall squad, meaning everybody that's on your team. So this is like an account-wide specific boost to your characters. When you go inside your squad info, you can see that you have 3 different trees: your attack, your defense, and your HP. Each of those trees have substats that are increased every 10 levels all the way up to level 300. So for instance, underneath my weapon development tree, I got critical rate +1, critical damage +1, accuracy +1, and defense pierce +1. Those skills seem to be on a rotate, so you'll probably get like anywhere from 3 to 5% increases over those over the course of the total level. But you can see I'm at level 100. I've been playing fairly religiously since the game came out. I don't really see getting all the way up to that level. In order to unlock these future levels, you need these data icons or whatever, upgrade material, in order to unlock new levels. And those seem to drop more inside missions and inside missions more than they did from just the game world. So pay attention to that because it definitely teetered off once I completed missions. Now, of course, obviously, as characters across your account complete missions, you'll be able to get those and increase your squad levels, which will increase your overall character levels as well. So pay attention to that. It's really important, and the game makes sure that you know it's important, because as you play through, it's going to constantly refer you back to squad level. You need to be at level 55 at a minimum in order to complete the game. So keep that in mind. The game does let you know that this is highly important. So you're not going to be able to just singularly focus in on one character and just, omit all the other characters. Otherwise, you'll probably be way behind. You're going to have to switch off and play as different characters. So now, as I get into that, we were talking about the most important stats outside of your squad level. And that's going to be your costumes, your battle badges, and your cores. Let's talk about 3 of those here and break them down. Your costumes. There are going to be region lock sets, and each of those regions are going to have subsets inside of them. There's a difference inside of those. You'll notice that your region sets appear for all the different places that you would take. So for instance, the Hydra Empire, New Stark City, Xanderth, Sakaar, those are all inside the game, and Midgardia as well. And you'll notice that, for instance, my Hydra Empire cloak is kind of hued out in red behind it. It's one of the better sets in the game, at least in my opinion, sporting attack and defense, and it is giving my Mystic Arts class skill a +3 in level. Now, notice the difference, however, between, like, for instance, the Xanderf Cloak, which is giving me an attack and HP boost, but only giving me a Mystic Arts class skill level of +1. So you're going to basically unlock those skill levels, and then you basically have bonus options. I seem to notice that there seems to be, it says that its bonus options are random, but there seems to be like a theme across the different areas for the sets as well. So for instance, this, when you get the Xanderf Cloak and you level them up and you seem to continually get them, attack and debuff accuracy seems to be throughout always the thing that comes up. Meanwhile, with the Hydra Empire Cloak, critical damage and critical rate always seem to kind of come up. Same with the Sakaar Cloak. All right, like if I used my Sakaar Cloak, for instance, where is my Sakaar Cloak? Where are you at? Where are you at? There you go. My Sakaar Cloak, it also has critical rate and critical damage, gives me my attack and HP buff, and then gives my Touch of Ashanti class skills a level +1. So keep that in mind. It's weird, right? Now, I kind of like the attack and defense. I'm not sure which one's more important, defense or HP, but you kind of want to pay attention to that. For right now, I'm trying to go along the route that defense matters more than my HP. If you can't pierce my defense, then you can't really get to my HP. That's the kind of, mindset that I'm going on. It's weird. So the costumes go all the way up to tier 6. You can level up a costume if you get it at tier 3, and you can level that costume all the way up to tier 6, or you can hopefully just get a drop if you do decide that you want to do rolls. But this seems to be the monetization way that Netmarble plans on going about getting money from our pockets, because these region sets seem to be the most important pieces, right? And getting them, there's a really, really, really low drop rate, whether you're enhancing them from the workshop or whether you're trying to get them from the game world. Seems to be a really, really low drop rate for the regional sets. Keep that in mind. Next up, you have your battle badges. These as well go all the way up to level 6. You can get them starting as low as level 1 and up to level 5. Now, keep in mind, these you cannot upgrade. They basically come 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars, 6 stars. You get these from playing blitz battles, which are basically field boss events, and you're basically aiming to get the 6-star red hued battle badges mostly. What you can do with these cards, though, is you can increase their viability by equipping cores. Cores go all the way up to 5-star, and they add various benefits and bonuses as well. So for instance, the blue cores of intensity typically seem to increase dodge rate. Meanwhile, your core of powers increase attack, and your core of vitalities increase HP. Now, keep in mind that doesn't necessarily mean that they're always that. For instance, on the core of intensity, you also notice that it also increases defense. So you can get them to drop for that. And on the core frenzy, it doesn't necessarily have to be critical damage. It could also be defense pierce or something like that. So each of them have something different to them. The attacks, the red core of powers always seem to be attacks. Like, I haven't really gotten too many core of powers that or anything else. Upgrading these things is quite the grind. You will continually seem to get 3-star cores, so I wouldn't suggest leveling up the 1 and 2-star cores. Just kind of skip over the 1 and 2-star cores. Whether you dismantle them or extract them or sell them, it's entirely up to you. I'll go over that in other videos, so that way you can see the benefits of those. But don't spend any kind of resources leveling up 1 and 2-star cards, 1 and 2-star cores. Yeah, so those are cores. Those are your battle badges. They seem to have the most overall effect on your character's boost and power. Next up, what we have is your Omega cards. Let's talk about Omega cards, because Omega cards is going to be heavily the most problematic, or the thing that I think is going to turn off a lot of players, I really feel. So if you've played Marvel Future Fight, you've probably seen that they have comic cards in there, and your comic cards are usually tied to overall account stats. Well, they went a different route in this game, and your comic cards are specific to your characters. So for instance, if you look at my comic cards right here, I'm working towards a specific comic card set, and that is my Dark Zone number 5 set, which is giving me a defense HP boost and a PvP damage decrease. So I'm working towards getting all of these cards. I have quite a good deal of them, except for the Doctor Strange and the Giant Man card. I don't have those two cards. Your cards will come in 2 flavors. They're either going to be 4-star set or 4-card sets or 6-card sets. Obviously, you want to be hunting for the 6-card sets because those are giving you 3 bonuses instead of 2. But pay attention that some of your 4-card sets, your 6-card sets require you to have like 1 or 2 of these special cards. These special cards do not seem to drop from the world. If they do, they seem to be at a very, very low rate. I'll be honest about that. You can get some of these other, the rare cards, the silver ones. They'll drop inside the game world and they'll drop from boxes, but the special cards, they literally seem to only drop from the draw. So you want to be, to be honest with you, I think that I'll talk about the shop in another video, but you kind of want to be on the hunt for comic cards, especially for specific characters that you really want to invest in. I wouldn't say sit here and invest in a character or a card set for a character that you really don't generally like, and I'll show you why. Basically, any card that is level 4 or above is going to have an exclusive stat that is specifically locked to that character, meaning that I can put this card in my storage and transfer it over to another character, but they'd be losing out on that exclusive stat. You wouldn't get it. It just would not apply. I don't know if you want to lose out on a potential 7.3% PvP damage decrease if you were maining Doctor Strange but decided later on that you were going to main Spider-Man, and now you're going to try to use this card on Spider-Man. That'd be a significant PvP damage decrease. I don't think that you want to do that. So you want to be wary that when you do get cards level 1 through level 3, doesn't really matter. You can level up and basically upgrade all these cards depending on how you choose and how you feel. For instance, you can see I got a level 1 Loki card right here. Vote Loki. He's sitting right there, right? I got that level 1 card. He's part of the 4-card set for Midgardian number 4. I also have him at 3-star. Now, I can't tell you to what degree that these cards will come. I didn't upgrade this card to 3. I got it at 3. So, but the moment that I upgrade this card to 4-star is going to have an exclusive stat on it with the option from these 5 stats for Doctor Strange. Giving this card to another character doesn't make sense. Pay attention to that, okay? So you really want to pay attention. There are a number of card sets inside the game. You're going to want to collect these anyways for collectibles. But depending on how your wallet looks and how you get crystals, which are fairly easy to get inside the game, to be honest with you, is going to basically be a determination of what sets you should be going after. Because if I got a Captain America special card, I obviously want to start hunting along this Midgardian path, which isn't bad. You're getting attack, defense, and HP. It really depends on what you want to play. I've kind of noticed that the Dark Zone, which is level 100 activity that's unlocked, it's a PvP specific thing. So you want to I want to make sure that I'm getting that because the rewards from the Dark Zone seem to be really good. So I kind of just said, hey, when I did my first roll inside the game, the Dark Zone set that I started out on was Captain Marvel because that's what I got. It was just, that was what I got. I didn't get any of the other gold cards, so I kept along that path. But your Omega cards are pretty important. Now, you do get to differentiate your character from other characters. So meaning that every Doctor Strange is going to be built the same. How that character gets tailored out and looks different from everybody else in terms of, their power levels is going to basically be done through your enhanced potential and your specialization. Let's talk about enhanced potential. Every character basically has 4 levels of, these enhanced potential stats. For Doctor Strange, it's called Sorcerer Supreme. Sorcerer Supreme 1, 2, 3, and 4. So at Sorcerer Supreme level 1, you have the ability to boost up your attack, defense, and HP. I went the whole gamut and got all of it because attack, defense, and HP was, you clearly know how important it is because that's the overall stat that's being improved by your squad rank and power. So it was important. I knew it was important. Now, as you go up inside those stats, they're going to kind of change. I can go on the path of increasing my HP, my ultimate skill gauge recovery, or my cooldown decrease. At level 3, I can do my defense, my debuff accuracy, or my cooldown decrease. And at level 4, it was my attack, debuff accuracy, or my cooldown decrease. Now, I was playing the game and immediately noticed from my skills that they had some pretty high cooldowns on them for some of the skills, especially that I liked and did the most amount of damage. Well, immediately I said, well, I want to cool down my decrease, my skill damage, the time to cast. So I basically went on the path of, cooldown decrease. You can tell from the outlook of that. I maxed out my tier 3 cooldown decrease, my tier 2, and I'm currently working on my tier 3 or my tier 4. If you notice, they all have these same icons. You can just call them potential reports. Whether you get them for Doctor Strange or for another character, Doctor Strange is called Forgotten Ancient Magic. It'll be called something different for Spider-Man. It'll be called something different for Captain America. But you're getting these, you can purchase these from the shop. So whales will whale and they will outpace you. Like if I go inside that shop and I look for consumables, you'll find them in here somewhere. Where are they? I forgot where they were. I can't remember where they were, but they're purchasable inside the shop. Trust me. This is going to be one of the ways in which you kind of, change out your character and you get those things. So for instance, you can tell I'm getting probably like a 5%, 6%, 6 or 7% cooldown decrease. I want to max those out as much as I can so that I can see what it actually looks like. Hopefully I can get it up to like 50% or something like that. I don't know what the maxes are. So I want to see what that are. See what they are for a character. I feel like the more uptime I have with my skills, the more damage I can do. So if I can get off 10 attacks to your 3 attacks because of my cooldown, I'd prefer to have that more than anything else. Next, you have your specialization, and this becomes the RPG chart, right? You have passive traits and active traits. You're allowed to equip 4 active traits. The active traits are pretty identifiable because they're the larger icons inside the area. And they come with their own little beneficial stats. So for instance, time manipulation is one of the active traits that I'm working to because like I said, I want to increase my max cooldown so that way I can cast my skills a lot. And so I've been working my way from the center of this tree all the way out over here. You can see there's multiple levels to unlocking certain things. And along the way, these passive traits that I get, I increase my HP, I increase my dodge rate, I increase my HP again. And over here, I'm working on increasing my cooldown decrease, right? Once again, you can see that at the next level, I'm getting a 1% cooldown decrease. You'll get these shattered conversion fear, whatever. Shattered convergiums or whatever they are from raids. I didn't see these in the shop at all, so game seems like it's really specific and that it wants you to do raids to get these, so you're gonna have to do raids. Once you basically get to the area, you need to unlock all the surrounding passive traits in order to unlock the active trait. The active trait can then be equipped over here and it'll give you that benefit, meaning, I'll be able to work on 10 levels of increasing my max cooldown by 1.35% by using these convergiums in order to, govern that. So you definitely want to be working towards those things, right? I'm working towards them and I'm definitely playing. We'll talk about game modes in another video, but your specialization is obviously going to be pretty crucial to those things. Keep in mind, we'll go back over skills now that we've talked about specialization, because underneath here, you're also going to have specializations or active skills that are going to increase certain class skills. Meaning, like for instance, over here, this active trait time manipulation decreases the remaining cooldown of all skills by 2.5% when using an illusion magic class skill. That's pretty cool, right? So when you look at those things, those different active traits, you can see there's differences inside of them. So for instance, Touch of Ashanti seems to be a cooldown thing that I'm using quite a bit. Increases Mystic Arts class skill damage by 2%. So you're working towards each of these as you work around the skill. One of the things I noticed is that there wasn't, a decrease in cooldown for Mystic Arts class skills specifically. It seemed like there was one for Illusion Magic and the Touch of Ashanti, but nothing in here for Mystic Arts. It increases the hit rate of my Mystic Art skills for 5 seconds when using Mystic Art class skill, but that was about it. I I don't know how I felt about that. So I was kind of working on just getting my cooldown decreases overall. That's specifically when you look at your classes, right? So underneath your class skills, you automatically have two skills that basically come at the beginning. You have your basic attack and your ultimate attack. Your ultimate attack doesn't seem to change at all. There's no variation. Soul Sunder is your ultimate skill if you're playing as Doctor Strange, and then his basic attack, you know, which is dealing nothing. Each skill in the game can go all the way up to level 15. I noticed that I kind of got between 10 and 12 by the time I got to level 100, but then when I hit level 100, the game just was like, here, have at it. You can go all the way up to level 15 and just basically unlock the next few levels, which kind of created a major boost. I don't know what that was about, or if that was intentionally planned to be that way. It happened really weird to me when I was playing through. But basically you then have 8 skills that you can rotate out through besides your basic attack and your Soul Sunder. So you can have 5 skills at any point equipped out of the 8 skills. Each skill can go up to level 15, and they have 4 variations. So for instance, my Master of the Mystic Arts has Circular Shackles. That the starting skill was called Crimson Bands of Sidorak. Level 2 of the skill was called Circular Shackles. The 3rd was the Barrier Curse. And then the 5th was called Soul Enhanced. Now, I'm going to talk specifically about these skills so that way you kind of understand them a little bit with depth, and that way it kind of makes sense to why I chose some of these skills. So for instance, I really like the Master of the Mystic Arts because it seems to work well in both PvE and PvP. It has pretty decent damage, and you can notice that there's a class skill for there. It says Illusion Magic, has the cooldown, the required stamina, and then it gives you Guard Break Low. This Guard Break is really important whether you're in PvP or PvE. It's basically how fast you're going to stun a character inside the game. At the basic level of the Circular Shackles, it was still grouping up enemies with the Crimson Band of Sidorak, but it wasn't grouping them up, and it was only doing 220% damage, right? So it wasn't very much. The guard break was low, cooldown time was relatively low, but not so low that I felt like it was doing anything. Now, I could go and I could change to the Barrier Curse, for instance, where I'm now at a 14 second cooldown, requires stamina for 24, and it ensnares for 3 seconds when the skill lands. Now, why did I choose the Circular Shackles over this Barrier Curse when the guard break is higher on the Circular Shackles? I mean, on the Barrier Curse, and has higher damage? Well, the Circular Shackle has an area of effect, which is great in PvE and great in PvP, because if a target is moving inside PvP, there's no real guarantee that this Barrier Curse will actually hit them. And if they dodge it, then I'm out of skill. If I launch my Circular Shackles attack, it's area attack, so they got to get out of that area, more likely to hit them. That's just the way I looked at it, right? But then I can go over here and you notice that I have a different skill called Soul Enhance. And this skill increases the defense of my Pierce by 24.76 seconds for 10 seconds. Your increase of your defense Pierce is pretty damn good, because it's also going to be how you lower the guard break on a character, right? Now, the only reason why I didn't choose that is because I really wasn't sure of how that was playing out overall with lowering a character's defense Pierce. And it's a buff, but that buff comes at a really high cost. It's 22.2 seconds. If you notice, all your class skills, especially without having the ability right now at the beginning of this game to kind of lower those cooldown decreases, it makes you question whether or not skills you have, how many skills you're going to have in total uptime. So I can't have, for instance, my Gateway of Summoning, which has a 27.2 second cooldown on it. It does the most damage of any of my class skills beside my ultimate class skill, 1700 damage, percent of damage that's going out to a character. Kind of hard to equip, you know, buff that's going to last for 10 seconds and not have it for probably another 20 seconds. Now I'm using Gateway Summoning. I have all my skills on cooldown. You're going to basically play that balance between choosing between your cooldown cost and your stamina cost and what those effects are. And they're going to be largely dependent on you. There are a number of skills inside the game that really seem to work well in both PvE PvP and PvE. None of the skills really seem like they're just targeted towards one or the other. For instance, I'll look at the gateway summoning as the best example for that. When I look at gateway summoning seems to be best when I have it gateway launch, right? As opposed to if I go underneath gateway summoning and I use threshold of banishment, it has a low guard break and it has a really low damage output, but it has really low cooldown. It was good in the beginning of the game, but that was it. This skill right here had a knockback to it. It was the gateway summoning portal bow. It had a 15.6 second cooldown, which was fine, and had a knockback. However, I didn't never feel like it really knocked any targets back as much as I thought it was going to, and it did. And mostly it seemed like it put me out of position, because for some reason, even though Doctor Strange seems like he should be a long range caster, the game kind of always pull him in towards characters where he's in striking range of them. I don't really understand why the hell it does that, but it does. So you have to notice some of that stuff inside the animations and the characters, right? And then you get over here to the gate of edge, which had a 33 require stamina of 33 and a 16.9 seconds. It also has 825% damage on them, right? Which really wasn't bad in terms of using it. And it really isn't bad in terms of PvP, where the enemies seem quite stupid. But I didn't really, and even though I was able to get off probably, you know, 2 of those attacks in the time that it was going to cost me to get over gateway launch, I still chose gateway launch just because I like to see that big burst of damage. Gateway summoning might be better because it's giving me a guard break of medium, and it has a lower cooldown time. I kind of liked the gateway launch a little bit better to see that burst of damage. It was easier to calculate that burst of damage and know that it was constantly hitting. It's really up to you how you play that across, but it's one of those things that's fine balances. So you should be looking at for all of your skills as you choose them, and you choose the variants. Which one works for you? The good thing about the game is I can go with 3 different variations of my windows and change those skills out. It's really entirely up to you. But those are basically how you're going to be leveling up your characters. So you want to kind of be paying attention to those things, especially your squad power, making sure that you're playing characters. Trust me, all of them seem fun to play so far, at least the ones I've played, and some, well, I won't say all of them, but most of them seem really fun to play. And it seems to have a play style for everybody at launch. I'm looking forward to some of the other characters that probably are going to be introduced into the game, especially Thor. Some of the other characters that I saw inside the game seem pretty cool. Hulk, Maestro Hulk. I'm hoping to see some villains inside the game as well. I think that would be amazing, especially since we're in a, you know, a converged world. There's no reason why we can't play as villains, and they'd be good guys as well, helping to the story. So, or they even develop a villain side story quest for that, so that way you can see how the villains are working. That'd probably be the better thing. But that's basically how you level up characters inside the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, peace.